Hello everyone, long time no see, and it does feel like an especially long time since it took me about 20 or 30 years to set up this camera, so it's been even longer than I thought. And today I was debating doing a couple different things. Wasn't sure if I should split it up into two videos, but I thought that might as well just do one and just follow my heart, because that is what it's all about on this channel, at least. So I wanted to talk about my newest journal because I recently finished my old one, or my second most recent, I guess. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about my process when I sit down to journal, and maybe even do a little bit of a journal with me type thing. So here we go. My last journal was this one with the giant bug on it. I don't know if this one has actually made it onto any of my socials, but I had it from, let me look, it was from August, the end of August of last year to, looks like the beginning of April of this year. Wow. Kind of crazy. This went all the way from, yeah, this journal has a lot in it. A lot of things have changed from the beginning to the end. So this was a Markings by C.R. Gibson, which is my favorite journal to date. I have already filled up, this is my third one that I filled of that brand, and it's really great. I like it because of the cream colored pages that are thin enough to allow some ghosting, but thick enough to be somewhat durable. I love the thinness of the ruled lines, the lightness and color of the ruled lines as well, sort of makes them appear to vanish as I'm writing, which I find very fun and cool to look at. I like this page sizes, they're perfect, just about enough pages in here for me, maybe a few too many. It does take me a while to finish them, but when I'm done, I'm usually left with something that is stuffed and feeling really well loved. So that's a good mark of a good journal. These pages also take fountain pen ink really well, in my opinion, which has been a driving force in many of my writing. I will often just write because I want to use a fountain pen, or, you know, any kind of pen that I'm in the mood for that day. Of course, the Pilot G2 will always be a favorite, but I also have my fountain pen friends here that I like to use at times. So that's why I like this particular journal and keep coming back to it, but I have made myself try a different journal or a couple of different journals in between these. I stocked up on these a while ago. They were on sale for $2 a piece for some reason. I don't know why. They're usually around $11. So I have a bunch of them backed up, some that are patent, that are faux leather like this one and black and brown, and then there's other ones that are different colors that have more of a, not patent leather, I don't know what the word is for the material that it's made out of. It's like, oh, this one's really dirty for some reason, but it's like soft. It's not quite like suede. There's no little fabricness to it, but it's very soft. So I don't know how to describe it, but anyway, they were all on sale for $2, so I got a bunch of them, like $20 worth. So I think it was $3, and I got 6 of them, so it was about $20 worth in total. I'm sure you all care very much about that, but the point is that I'm trying to leave my comfort zone occasionally and use different journals in between these, because like many people in our hobby, I have a backlog of empty journals to fill up, some of which I know I'm probably never going to fill up and should give away or donate or get rid of otherwise, but I haven't yet. So the journal that I moved into after this C.R. Gibson was actually a Piccadilly journal. You can see it says Piccadilly. You may have seen these at Barnes & Noble or other bookstores. I see them sold there quite frequently. When I went, I picked up 2 of them. So as you can see, this is the other one in brand new condition. Very cool cover designs, of course, are what are going to attract me to these first and foremost. But anybody who knows me knows better than to pick out a journal for me based on the cover alone. The cover's a big deal, don't get me wrong. Cover can be a big deciding factor in how inspired I feel by the notebook, in all honesty, as shallow as it may sound. But the actual pages and the lining and how many pages there are very important factors. So let me open this up and show you the one that I haven't used yet. Much like C.R. Gibson, the lines are gray. They are not nearly as thin as C.R. Gibson. This is probably college ruled, but C.R. Gibson has a much more finely ruled sheet. An interesting factor about this, and I'm sorry, I spent a long time trying to get this camera to be set up correctly, and it's just not happening. So I don't know if you're going to get a good view of how, I'll lift it up a little bit just for now, how, is that better? No, it's just going to fall still. How large these pages, what is going on? Is that my hand? Oh, okay. How large the pages are. This notebook is a lot wider than C.R. Gibson. See, you can, if I line up the spines, you can see, well, this isn't a good example because it's got that envelope sticking out, but you can see this, like maybe half an inch or so wider, which does add up over time. And there's a lot of pages in here. I recently counted them. I think it's like, maybe like 144 pages in each one. I could count again, but I'm not going to at the moment. And this is frustrating. Okay, so I was saying there's a decent number of pages in these journals. Something that really attracted me, oh, and also they're cream colored pages, which is important to me. I know some people prefer bleach white, but I actually prefer the cream ones. I think they play much more nicely with the pen colors that I have. And I hate to say it, I know it's a buzzword, but it does give a more vintagey look. So that's nice. But something really interesting is that these pages are very, very, very thick. I mean, and almost, not almost, they're quite textured. So, now there can still be some ghosting. I've only been writing in the Piccadilly with a Pilot G2, and I'll get into why later. Well, it's not important why. The reason is that fountain pens won't write on these. And also I'm concerned that the textured nature of the pages is gonna clog up my nibs on my fountain pens. So that's one downside of these pages, but they are very nice to write on with a gel pen or any other kind of ballpoint pen that you might have. Very satisfying, very big. You can do bigger layouts and spreads with this. It's very, very thick, and the pages are just a nice quality. So it's a joy to write in these. Now, for the cons. There are some things that made me a little sad about this notebook. There is no built-in pocket at the back. Now, I can add my own pocket at the back if I want to. I've done that before, as I've shown in previous video how I end my journals. I will probably end up pasting an envelope back there at some point. Heaven knows I've done that even when it hasn't been necessary, but I got a little spoiled by C.R. Gibson giving me a little pocket in the back where I could store, you know, notes or other things like that, or stickers. Just a place to hold things without having to worry about where I'm putting it. This also doesn't have a bookmark. Can you see the lack of bookmark? There is none. So that makes me a little sad because I had gotten spoiled by C.R. Gibson with the bookmark, always being able to pick up where I left off. And finally, the saddest part is that there's no elastic band here anywhere. So I don't know why. I used to always use journals without an elastic band and it didn't bother me, but once I started using C.R. Gibson, you know, I had a couple of journals with closures before. I had the this journal here, number 10. Well, it's closed with rubber bands now, but it used to close on its own with this magnetic clasp here. Oh, this was a good one. That was my first journal with a clasp, actually. And I really liked the way that it made me feel protected as I was writing in it. That's probably the best thing about this particular journal. And there's a little space between the pages and the top of the book. There's probably a word for that in bookbinding. I don't know what it is. But just in general, it made it seem like the pages were hidden away a little bit, which is always a feeling that I like, where you can't see the edges. I don't know how to explain it. It's not very logical because you can still see the edges. You can see I stuck stuff in here, but Compared to C.R. Gibson, it's not as noticeable, especially to somebody far away. And I like that it was wrapped around like this. Even some of my older journals from when I was younger, some of my first ones, whoops, oh man, like this #1, this one also has a space between the pages and the top of the cover. So it creates a feeling of demarcation in my mind, which is something that I've talked about before. I like feeling like there's a barrier between what's inside the journal and what's outside. So I'm not a huge fan of, for example, these little tiny ones. I've done a couple of them and I just hate how open and vulnerable they feel. You know, I did the best I could with this one. I put washi tape on the edges to try to create a barrier of sorts, but it's just not the same. So that's one downside of this. And the elastic clasp, of course, with how much stuff I put into my journals, the elastic clasp is necessary, or else it's just going to fall open and take up more space than I want it to. I like feeling like I'm done, the band is on, it's closed, you know. So I wanted to use this journal, going back to this one, but I was a little worried about the bookmark and the band, so I actually DIY'd them, which isn't hard to do at all. I mean, you don't need a tutorial to learn how to stick a ribbon down into this little gap here between the signature ends and the cover. There's a little hole there, and you just put some glue on the ribbon and slide it down there. I didn't really make this long enough in retrospect, but it does get the job done. I think I also used a ribbon that's too wide because this is not a good look, but oh well. Lesson learned for next time, I suppose. And then I also followed a Sea Lemon tutorial. I can link it below if I remember, to add my own elastic band here, but I didn't actually have any elastic on hand. And this was like at the beginning of the pandemic when Amazon didn't have anything in stock and it was taking like a month to deliver stuff. So I just used some elastic cord I had laying around and then did like a 4-stranded braid of pink and green glittery elastic. And at first I wasn't so sure because it seemed looser and more flimsy than the typical, you know, elastic band that I'm used to. But this really does get the job done, and I'm really grown attracted to the way that it looks. I think it adds a nice kind of interest of color. There's no pink on the cover, and so it almost adds a pop of pink color to the journal. And these are all very important things, as you know, pops of color and such. So I've really been enjoying this journal a lot. I actually wasn't writing a lot at the beginning of the pandemic because I didn't feel like there was anything to write about, and I was kind of in my own little world of worry and, you know, feeling isolated from everybody, and I just didn't feel like there was anything worth writing about. But as time has gone on, I've actually been able to write more and more in here and decorate in here. Trying to see if there's anything I can show. Nope, I don't think so. The problem is usually when I'm journaling, it's not because it's something that I would, it's either for one of two reasons. It's either to say something that I don't want to bother other people with, that may not necessarily be difficult to talk about, but it may be something that other people don't want to hear about, so I write it in here instead, or I will use this to write about private things. And so it's usually one of the two, but it's usually private things because whatever. I may post some close-up pictures of some of the decorations and stuff that I have going on. But for now, I don't think there's anything that I can really show too much of. This page might be okay. I just wanted to show because I've been doing a lot of writing with just text, like this sort of thing, and it looks really nice and satisfying on the page. Of course, only with Pilot G2s, but if you are the type of person who likes fountain pens for the ink colors, then I would recommend Pilot G2s as an alternative if you don't have fountain pen friendly paper, because they come in a lot of different colors. Actually, my mother gifted me a bunch of Pilot G2s, a whole book of them. Oh my gosh, this is such a satisfying thing to look at. So I have every color. The one pet peeve I have about Pilot G2s, and it's a recent pet peeve that I've discovered since I realized I can no longer use my fountain pens. They have this lovely hunter green color, or I think it's called forest green actually. It's a lovely deep green, which is great. I love writing in dark green ink. But my favorite ink color to date is Monteverdi Brown Sugar on cream paper. It is excellent. And I have it in one of my fountain pens here. but I can't use that right now. And the only brown ink the Pilot G2 seems to have, after I looked for a while, is this caramel shade, which, may I just say, is not the same at all. And I'm very surprised that Pilot wouldn't take the time and the energy to make a dark brown ink, because I think dark brown, it's like, you know, it's kind of like eyeliner and mascara. It's one of those things that people just really, I feel like they would buy them if they had the option. So you can see there is the caramel colored ink from the Pilot, and then I'm going to show the brown sugar, which isn't going to be too good, but I could do a little bit of it. Uh-oh. Darn. Okay, that's not going to write. Let me just do what they do at the fountain pen store and tap off the inside of the bottle on here. Well, that's not working either. Scrape that. Can you see the corner there? It's like, it's much of a deeper chocolatey brown. I'm not sure I've gotten my point across, but it's a personal pet peeve with this journal, and especially since I only realized it less than a quarter of the way in. So it's a little bit disappointing that I'm going to have to make it through the rest of this book before I can use my fountain pens again, because I don't really use them for any non-journaling purpose. I don't think I want to waste my fountain pens at school, and personally I always feel a little bit pretentious having my fountain pens around for practical things like that. I don't know, that's just... So anyway, I wanted to get into a little bit of my journaling practice of late, my pandemic journaling practice, I guess you could say. I've been spending a lot more time at my desk, which is great. You can't really see it too well because of the camera angle, but I've got a nice place for my insect stamps lined up here, like this one. I have a whole set of them. So great. That was, I remember the day that I got those, was so exciting. And all the inks, of course, are lined up. I've got a little lamp here to light the way, and a lot of drawers with various journaling supplies in them. Pretty much all of my drawers are dedicated to journaling supplies at this point, which is really great. So I like to sit here and write, and what I usually do is I will, for background noise, I will either put a video, a YouTube video, so I can feel like I'm along with someone, like my pretend friend that would also be into journaling, since there are none of those in real life anywhere on the planet as far as I can determine. They only exist on the internet. And the ones that I like to watch the most are EmiLou Arts. She has these really fun journal with me videos that she does. I really get inspired and feel a kinship with her when we're journaling together. And Girl and Quill is, of course, always my #1 favorite. Anna is the name of the girl who does that, and I don't know what it is about her, but I really like her videos. She's one of the first that I ever followed, and I just really enjoy her content in many, many ways. So one of those two. I actually had a backlog of her videos that I hadn't seen yet. A lot of people kind of stopped posting at the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of my favorite creators, which I thought was strange, but then I realized I wasn't really doing anything useful either. I think we all just kind of, even those of us who didn't lose our jobs and weren't stressed out and depressed, kind of maybe were just shaken and kind of thrown out of our normal routine. So I think YouTube in general kind of paused for a bit. It's funny because I was expecting to see a lot of content coming out, but I actually saw less of it, and I was thinking, why? They have all this time now. Well, actually, they still are probably pretty shocked by just everything that unfolded so quickly, too. It wasn't even just the pandemic. It was the pandemic, and then it was George Floyd, and there were protests everywhere. All kinds of stuff was going on, and there's an election coming up, and it's just a crazy time to be making content on YouTube. So it was nice when that started coming back, and that was just an unrelated rant. One of the things Anna said in her video was that she misses the most going to cafes and journaling, and I feel that in my soul. I used to love to go a couple times a week to Starbucks, especially before work. There's one right next to my work. Oh my gosh, get a coffee, get a little table, and just, or after work, either one of those works. Not during work, obviously. I don't know why I specified those two things. I guess because if you go right before work, it's like a way to start the day on my terms. I like to do that, to do something in the morning that's not just rolling out of bed and running to work and immediately going, you know, to do stuff for the man. I like to start things out on my terms, and after work to unwind. So I think it makes sense what I said. But I can't do that anymore. So here we are, which is a double-edged sword, because even though I miss the cafes and all that, I also was feeling like I wasn't spending enough time at my desk, which is really cute and has a nice setup. So I'm just going to enjoy that. I'm just trying to accept the way things are and enjoy them. So usually what I do is I will have those videos playing, or I'll play nature sounds. And I usually use my phone for that. I have an app called Atmosphere, which is really great. I've also started trying to listen to that at night instead of listening to YouTube videos as I go to sleep, to relax me and give me something to focus on, and almost, well, not almost, to actually like try to meditate with before I go to bed, because that's a good practice to have. And they have some good nature sounds on there. I was having a really hard time finding a good nature sounds app. You know, when I first got an iPod Touch in high school, there were so many great apps that have been discontinued. You can't find them anymore because I guess the developers didn't want to keep up with them, or I don't know what the reason is. But I found that the quality of apps on the App Store is significantly decreased. Like the stuff that I really used to enjoy back in the day is gone. And my favorite, I used to have a great nature sounds app called Relaxing Sounds of Nature Light, and I think I even upgraded it at one point because it was such a great app. It let you customize the sounds and set a timer, had so many different options. But even the paid sound, like nature sounds apps, are not as good anymore in my opinion. They just don't look, they don't have the same amount of customization and everything, so it's a bummer. Another app I miss is Windbell Diary. You probably have never heard of it. It was never a very popular app on the App Store, but it was the best diary app I've ever even sort of used. I mean, I tried a lot of different ones, and that one just blew them all out of the water. And this was back, I didn't really have money, so I rarely spent money on apps, but that was another one I upgraded to the full version because it was so amazing. It was a great app, and I just miss it every day. I might talk more about it in a future video, but just rambling. Got a cup of chai here to simulate that cafe experience. I have no idea what is floating in it. That's very very concerning. That was not there when I started filming. Something else I like to do is keep a very high-end bar of chocolate that can be broken down into little pieces in my top drawer of my desk. It's like a journaling treat. I'll break off one small section and just nibble on it as I write. It's very luxurious and indulgent. A lot of journaling is about relaxing and kind of just indulging in nice paper, the feeling of a nice pen, nice sounds. So I think that should come with, you know, some sort of gustatory stimulation as well. And chai is probably healthier, although I did put a little bit of sugar and cream in it. Not a lot, but a little, which always makes things less healthy and more tasty. So lately I've been doing a lot of just writing with no decorating. But today I think I want to do a little bit of both, actually. And I was thinking today that I'm probably going to write more generic things. Not nearly as much private stuff today. I just had some more generic stuff on my mind, stuff I've been reading about or thinking about or talking to people about, and nothing particularly, you know, soul searching. So I thought it'd be a good day to do a journal with me type video. So I don't know what you can see. The way my desk is set up is there's almost like a roof on the inside of it. It's got a hutch on top of it. So there's no way that I can see entirely what the camera is seeing, but I'm guessing that this is probably the best we're gonna get. I'm assuming you probably still can't see the entire notebook, which is incredibly frustrating, but that is just kind of the way things are. There's no real solution to that, so I'm just gonna get started. I normally don't ever want to spend money on YouTube equipment because I don't film that consistently. It's not something that I'm trying to make money doing. It's just a hobby. But sometimes I think maybe I should spend a little bit of money just so that I don't have to be endlessly frustrated and saddened by how bad everything looks at the end, especially these aerial shots. So I don't know if you can see this. I think you can probably see this. This is my Memento Luxe Rich Cocoa ink pad. And it was using this exact shade. Oh, she had Memento, not Memento Luxe, but she had the same Rich Cocoa shade. I was so blown away. So cool. I believe it is the 5th. So, I'm going to stamp that date on here. You know how hard it is to find a date stamp? It's not easy. Got one at Staples. Okay. And I'm going to write down something that my therapist told me. And I'm trying to decide what I should use to write it with. You know, if I still had my brush pens, I would use those, but I think I threw them out because they were terrible, which is pretty fair. You know, I wonder about how a Sharpie would look. I might try that. Oh, what color? I'm thinking mint green. I've really been feeling like mint green lately in every area of my life. So I'm going to see if this bleeds through. I'll try it here, this corner. Let's see what that, oh, that does bleed pretty badly. Okay, no Sharpie. Instead, how about we use this mint green mild liner. I feel like I use my mild liners for everything. So that's why I was going to try not to use it. So this is a paraphrasing of something that my therapist told me, that you shouldn't take anything other people say about you to heart too much, because most of the time it's not about you, it's about them. Obviously, if they're talking about you specifically in a very specific situation, it is probably about them. We were talking more about generalizations. So if somebody says, for example, all white people are racist, it's not actually because that's the truth. They're not stating a fact. They're just projecting. They have some personal issues going on. A lot of the time when people make generalizations, that's what that's about. So I'm just doing a very basic cursive. Now, normally I speed up my videos and try to avoid these boring parts. Makes for better content, but not sure if I'm going to do that this time. Not sure if I'm really in the mood to make good content. I think this is more something for you to put on in the background while you're journaling. Could be fun. I don't know how to thicken these B's and S's. Oh my gosh. These are not all even. I don't know if you can even see that one. Maybe I'll try to do it like that. Yeah, I think that works pretty well. There we go. Okay. I think I'm going to thicken that up again. Just draw a second line next to every one of these. The nature sound YouTube video I have on right now sounds a lot like actual birds, which is pretty cool. I think it probably is a recording of actual birds, come to think of it. The Atmosphere app is pretty clearly seems to be manufactured sounds. They don't sound that realistic, so. There's something very meditative about just drawing over these letters, just enjoying the feeling of it instead of writing a bunch of different words. It's relaxing, which is what I was looking for today for me and for you, the viewer, of course, to just have something relaxing to put on in the background. Sometimes when you have a lot of personal revelation to do, like a lot to write about or deal with or unpack, you just want something calm going on in the background, or at least I do. And today is a calm day for me. It's hard to be calm. I'm somebody who likes to have control over every situation. Every situation. But today, I'm only exerting control over this page. And hopefully, that is going to make me a little bit more relaxed during the rest of the day. There's lots of things you can do to stay calm. I mean, drinking tea is generally calming, especially depending on the type of tea that it is. Exercising is a good way to be calm, they tell me. Don't know if that's worth it, but it's supposed to be very helpful. Meditating is good as well. I hate meditating. I do, I hate it. I've been trying to do it, but I just despise it. It feels like a waste of time. My therapist recommended that to me as well. She says I have to stop feeling like I have to have something to show for every minute of the day. It's okay to just be. It's hard for me to wrap my head around, but it is true. I think it's funny how you could think that you've conquered a mindset, but then it shows up in a different way. Like, I have a problem with defining myself based only on school or career or whatever, big thing I'm supposed to be doing, whether that's school or career. So when I was in school, it was based on my grades and my performance and the quality of my work. Now that I'm at work, it's about my performance there and my quality of work there. But it's not healthy. Obviously, just defining yourself by one thing is not a recipe for success, because if something is threatened in that area, then what do you have? Not a whole lot, I'm afraid. So I thought that I'd conquered that mentality. But then I realized that maybe not work or school in particular, but I feel like I need to have something to show for every moment that I'm alive. Even journaling, even that. I haven't left with a permanent record of what I journaled about. So things like dusting, cleaning, cooking, showering, exercising, meditating, I hate all those things because they're so transient. You do it, You cook, you eat your food, it's done. You exercise, you know, maybe you look good for a little bit and then it goes away if you don't keep it up. You clean for the day and then you got to do it again the next day. I hate things like that. They make me sad. That's why I liked playing the piano better than the clarinet, because clarinet, you lose your mouth muscles over time. It's worse with brass instruments, but I have a very weak mouth in general, so yeah, it would get really bad if I didn't practice for even a day or two. Whereas with piano, it comes back more easily. It's still not perfect, but it's much more like writing school. So anyway, I'm going to do a little decorating now. I've got these stickers I've been using over and over and over again for the last few days. I don't care. I'm going to use them again because that's the mood I'm in. So I've got these, you know, I can't remember the brand of these stickers. They're so cute. I don't even know if you can see them. I have no clue. But they are little, oh, it's a great brand. It starts with the letter M. Not Midori, not Muji. It's a lesser known one. Oh. Not going to remember. They're so cute. They have really great washi tapes too. I don't know why I haven't ordered any yet, actually. I'm always like close to ordering them on Amazon, and then I'm like, no, I don't need to do that. But might as well, man, one of these days. So, got some little flowers, and then we've got some succulents, very trendy. You know what? I'm gonna not use that one yet. I'm gonna put this washi tape. If you can see it, it's flowers, of course. I don't actually have that many botanical washi tapes. I have more galaxy, like dark mood type ones. Do you guys find that you have like one or two themes you oscillate between? This was something else Anna was talking about in one of her videos, was that she likes everything to be, she's got like two themes. She's got the vintage theme and then the very girly like hearts theme. And I find a lot of people with journaling, yeah, they'll do vintage, or they'll do like cutesy stuff, or they'll do Japanese themes are really common as well. For me, it's like botanicals or mixed with vintagey type stuff, or really dark. Like, you know, when I have those days where I want to wear black lipstick, those days are pretty frequent, and those days I might journal with skull stickers or more dark type stickers. So there we go. That looks really stupid. I mean, you know what? I'm going to leave it. It looks stupid in a way that I like. I've been avoiding using these because these are the last two, which is stupid because I have too many stickers and I need to use them up. I think this one's hard for me to use because it's vintage and a butterfly, so that's like two bullet points that you hit there. So how am I going to put this? I'm just not feeling inspired with my sticker placement. I'm kind of just slapping them on. Oh, can you relate? But it's not about, you know, making an artistic masterpiece. It's about sprucing up the page and having a little bit of fun using these things that I already have, that I bought to use to have fun with. So might as well use them. Yes, I finally used up this, which is sad because it's one of my favorites. But it's not sad because I have more of them. So it's good to use things up. Well, of course, my camera ran out of memory in the middle of my last section, but here is what I ended up doing with it. Just writing about my rules for life and thinking about calmness, not needing to be in control of every situation. Got kind of busy down here with all the different patterns and the writing, but you know what? Overall, as a spread, I don't really hate it. I think it was a good session. I felt relaxed while I was doing it, and I enjoyed talking to you guys. So I'll talk to you guys in the next video.